have been baking sourdough bread with my own starter for a few years now. Few things that you need are the food scale, digital thermometer, white flour, whole wheat flour, and a container with lid. The first step in creating sourdough starter is to prepare the flour mixture. So day one, I am using 100 gram of whole wheat flour and 150 gram of lukewarm water. Water temperature is 85 Fahrenheit. It's important to be accurate with the flour and water amount and as well as water temperature. I strongly recommend using food scale, digital thermometer for this. We're going to leave this for 24 hours. This is next morning now. As we can see, there hasn't been much activities. It looks a little bit of bubbles, but barely. It's okay. We're going to feed this and keep going. Day 2, I'm using 70 gram of the starter, 50 gram of whole wheat flour, 50 gram of white flour, and 115 gram of lukewarm water. Again, water temperature is 85 Fahrenheit. We're going to leave this another 24 hours. I noticed there are a little bit of activities. Tiny little bubbles started forming. Creating a healthy and strong sourdough starter can take anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks, depending on where you live. Starters do better in a warm environment, ideally around 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. But you can still develop a good sourdough starter in a cooler environment. The temperature of your kitchen is the most important fact. I live in pretty warm area, so my day 3, I started seeing some small bubbles, little signs of activities. If you don't see that on your first week, it's okay. Just keep going, don't throw away, and restart. Day 3, I use 70 gram of starter, 50 gram of whole wheat flour, 50 gram of white flour, 100 gram of lukewarm water. I will leave this for another 24 hours. I can see that it raised up and went down on my day 4. So my starter is developing really well. The texture is airy and sponge-like a texture. There are lots of little bubbles. So now I'm going to feed 50 gram of my starter, 50 gram of whole wheat flour, 50 gram of white flour, and 100 gram of water. This formula will be my maintaining feed method as well. It's always going to be 50-50-50. Starter, whole wheat flour, white flour with 100 gram of water. If you want to maintain just a small portion of starter, you can do 30-30-30 and 60 gram of water. Since my starter raised up and went down after 24 hours later, now I'm going to watch this a bit closer. The feeding schedule needs to be adjusted in this point. You can use any container. I like this Weck Jar that I have. This has loose lid and this allows airflow, which helps to grow the starter. Now it has been 8 hours, but I can see that the starter doubled up and the texture looks very airy and fluffy and more bubbles formed. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed this. As you can see, the starter texture is much more sticky. Same feeding formula, 50-50-50. Starter, whole wheat flour, white flour with 100 gram of water. I will leave this on my kitchen counter and I will check tomorrow morning. This is next morning, day 5. The starter looks very good. Lots of little bubbles and airy and fluffy sponge-like texture, spider web looking as well. I'm going to do floating test before I start baking to make sure that it is a strong starter. Starter is floating and it looks very strong It's ready now. A sourdough starter is a living culture of a wild yeast that used to make bread rise. This recipe is very easy to follow, and with this starter, you can make healthy bread, pizza, cookie, and pancake. I hope you try and share your experience.